Okay. Okay. And start. That's your friends. Understand the right. Last time, last not okay. Last thing. Right. We were discussing about this financial statement analysis and financial statement analysis. We have completed this ratio analysis part. Ratio analysis, we discussed about this different types of ratios, and basically we discussed about the main purposes as well as qualitative aspects of ratio analysis, and we calculated some of the ratios and we gave a assignment as well. I hope that you are comfortable with these ratios. The key message is once you are doing this ratio analysis, uh, there's no uh, standards for ratios except this earning per share, case 33. Earning per share, we are having a counting standard. Other than that, we don't have any standard, right? So these interpretations and the calculations, we are having normal practices, right? Normal practices. Once you are having current ratio, once you are calculating current ratio, current liability, and current assets, we are comparing. Once you are getting current asset and current liability, different entities, classifications, all these things are matters once you are calculating it. Maybe once you are using bank or insurance company or finance company, sometimes it may be very difficult to get that in from the balance sheet. Why? The balance sheet, we don't have current asset and current liability. So we need to go to this maturity analysis, right? Likewise, you may have different uh, difficulties once you are calculating these ratios. Comparability purpose, it may be challenging. So once you are calculating this gross margin, normally we are calculating revenue versus gross profit. Once you are calculating gross profit, cost of sales composition may be different to each and every company to company. This gross profit composition may be changed. Some people are charging maybe two hotels. One hotels can charge depreciation of buildings to cost of sales. Some are charging to the admin expense. So because of that, gross profit may be changed. It means this for ratio calculation, we don't have standard, but we have practices. Within that practices, you should have a capability to calculate relevant ratio for that entity, not all the ratios. That's the key message I want to give you all. These ratios should be, once you are calculating ratios, should be very relevant for that entity and the industry. If you are calculating maybe inventory turnover ratio for bank, it is not relevant. Why? In a bank, you don't have much inventory, right? So then you need to have understanding. Inventory turnover should be calculated to this industry. Inventory turnover for power and energy business. Useless in power and energy business, we don't have inventory. We are having large machines and we are having this some maintenance items. That's it. We don't have material inventory balance in power and energy sector. If it is so, we are not calculating that type of ratios. Once you are calculating ratios, it should be relevant to that specific industry. That's the first message I want to give you. Right? And then once you are calculating, once you are focusing ratios, there are industry specific ratios. You need to focus that aspect as well. And then finally, once you are finalizing your this ratio calculation, you need to focus about qualitative factors as well. You need to mix qualitative factors and come up with the proper story about that company. While we are calculating these ratios, we are going to give a summary or conclusion about that entity. About what? Liquidity, profitability, and then gearing, and the marketplace, as well as the efficiency. About all these aspects, we are giving type of a story about that company. That story should be linked with these numbers versus qualitative factors. Without having qualitative factors, you are giving these numbers, you are telling this increase, this decrease, that's it. To increase and decrease, the reason is qualitative factors, management decisions. You need to mix that and give a summary report that should be communicated to proper parties, proper stakeholders, right? That's all about ratio analysis. I hope it is clear for you all. Right. So we are moving to other techniques. Other techniques. What are the other techniques? After analyzing financial statements, you can use different other techniques. What are they? Common size financial statements. Trend analysis. Uh, Horizontal analysis and vertical analysis. These are the three things we are mainly focusing today to complete, and then we are moving to standards. We are planning to discuss case 38, case 23, case 40. So this is the today plan. So end of the day, we need to finish it off these areas. Remember that after finishing these areas, you have to be very comfortable. Not just numbers, just having basic understanding. Not basic understanding, you should have proper understanding about the content we are discussing here. Right? I hope that is done for ratio analysis. Right. We are moving to common size financial statements. Common size financial statement. What it means to you? Common size financial statements. Once you are comparing financial statements, the main difficulty right. Common size financial statements. Why we are using this common size financial statements? So once you are getting financial statement, company to company, maybe within the company, year to year, comparing this financial statement sometimes may be very difficult. Balance sheet to balance sheet, P&L to P&L. Once you're comparing that numbers, very difficult with maybe some difficulties. Balance sheet, many balance sheet items may be there. Many P&L items may be there. Sometimes the numbers may be in millions. Once you are getting these digits, may be very difficult. The bigger number එකක් කියවන්න අමාරුයි නේ. ඒක බලනකොට මේක බලලා අනිත් එක බලනකොට it's very difficult to compare. For that we have a solution. What we are going to do is two different companies, 2 different years. What we are going to do is we are getting this balance sheet to a common size. Then we can easily compare. How we are going to do that? Common size financial statements. ඒක තමයි කරන්න යන්නේ. එක විදියකට හදාගන්න P&L එක balance sheet එක. For that, what we need to do is we need to select the basis. Base number. Based on a base number, we are converting normal balance sheet to a common size balance sheet. To select that base number, we need to, that's your judgment. We are getting that the largest number of that statement. In P&L, what's the largest number? Profit and loss statement. You know, right? What's the largest number? Sales, revenue. Revenue is the largest number. So we consider sales as the base. Based on that, we convert other numbers to common size. We assume that sales equal 100 or 1000. 100 or 1000. If sales 100, how much of cost of sales? How much of gross margin? How much of the net profitability? How much of admin cost? Likewise, we are converting that to 100. Okay. Same way, this is 2025. We are converting 2024. Now we are having millions balance sheet in 100. Now very easy. So we are comparing 2025 to 2024. That's what we are doing under common size financial statement. Once you are going to balance sheet, what's the largest number? Maybe total asset. Total asset, we assume that total asset 1000. If total asset 1000, how much the inventory? How much the receivable? How much the PP&E? That's about common size financial statement. Okay. Once you are moving to cash flow statement, maybe profit after tax is the largest number if you are doing indirect method. Likewise, we are converting this statement to a common size. That's a technique we are using once you are doing financial statement analysis. You can see examples here. Once you go to this right. Common size finance statement, trend analysis, horizontal and vertical analysis. Right. These are the three topics. We started common size financial statement, right? So this is the definition as we discussed. Displays item as a percentage of a common base figure. Total sales revenue, for example. Okay.
So it's great that share.
The share with that. Right. I hope now it's shared. Okay. Right. People who are joining virtually, are you audible enough? Rashmi. I have a doubt whether they can see this board. They can't, right? That's that's a difficulty. Why? So we are working on the board. Many things. Okay. Once I'm doing this consolidation, it's supposed to do many calculations using this whiteboard. See, you can do by using this one. Yeah, try to make it here, but we have to use this board as well. Right, we are discussing about other techniques can be used for financial statement analysis, right? As we discuss this common size financial statements, this is how we are doing it. The example, financial position. What they have done, they have considered total asset as 100. And you'll see that 100 total assets, cash 10.31. They have considered that as a percentage. Let's see. Now you can easily compare to the 3 different years. You can see inventory this year 1, 3.25, year 2, 4.17, year 3, 4.02. Easily you can catch these numbers having this common size. That's the key benefit of this type of a statement. Right? Can you do this easily? Once you're having normal balance sheet, convert into a common size, then easily you can do, right? You assume that total asset is 100, you are converting other numbers accordingly. If total asset 100, how much of account payable? You can do that, right? In පුළුවන්ද? ඒක කරන්න කියලා දෙන්න ඕනද? I don't think so. Right? Balance sheet, take a total asset, maybe 44,000. 44,000 total asset. So this came current asset, non-current asset. What we are going to do? Let's say in non-current assets you are having PPE. How much? PPE 12,000. How we are going to calculate this common size? I'm repeating myself. Total asset 44,000. PPE 12,000. How we are going to convert to common size? How we are going to do that? Out of 44,000, 12,000 PP&E. If so, 100. We are getting common size number. If we are doing this P&L, see how to do this common size P&L. Normal revenue we assume as 100. If revenue 100, how much of depreciation? 2.1. How did you get this? How did you get this? $2.1. Income tax expense 0.6. Net income 1.3. But make up calculator ගන්න පුළුවන්ද? Calculator බලන්න. කොහොමද calculator calculation එක එන්නේ? How we are going to calculate 1.3? 1.3 calculate පුළුවන්. I don't think that it's a very difficult task. $48,000 $48,077 divided by 100 into 643. Okay. 1.3. 1.3. That's how we have to convert that to normal number. No. The financial statement analysis correct. Common size financial statements. The way around, I guess. Pero tiene como de no. Percentage कितने मान है? Right now. You can put that on. 100. Right. Right. You are going to calculate this percentage, no? We represent 100 as this. Then from what? Out of 100, we are representing 48,000. For 643, how much? That's the equation, right? 1.3. Then you can calculate overall P&L. Overall P&L. I hope this is clear. Then you can easily compare, right? You can easily compare 2 years. Common size financial statements. Right. I have given this definition, common size balance sheet, common size income statement, cash flow statement, right? You can read that these things. And here we have limitations. This will be tested in the exam. What are the benefits of common size financial statement? What are the limitations of common size financial statement? So what are the limitations? Different accounting policies, right? Different accounting periods may be there. Okay. Some inconsistencies in accounting practices. Sometimes in common size financial statement, we don't have qualitative or in detail numbers to give understanding. Other thing is common size financial statement. We are not showing the size of the organization. Are you getting me? So you are converting whatever the company size to 100. Let's say you are having two different hotels. One is a hotel chain having maybe 3-4 hotels, right? Their P&L converting to 100, right? So one hotel is there, very small hotel, recently started, that also converted to 100. So all balance sheet and P&L showing 100, right? From 100, how much? So we can't see the size of the organization. We converted that to 100. I'll get it. If it is so, the visibility of the scale, the size, can't be indicated through this common size financial statement technique. Another thing is the base figure, variation of the base figure can't be calculated. It is always 100. The revenue, 100. We don't know what it is. Okay. The revenue as a base, we are getting other numbers. Revenue, how we are going to get the variation of revenue? It's a limitation. So these are the limitation. Other two also you can add. The size may not be visible, and the base figure variation also can't be calculated through common size financial statements. Right? Clear? You buy a lot of banana in the other. When are the again? Nothing. The good are quite a current time here. And God, you can me financial statement analysis. So we are moving to standards today. We are practically discussing standards. Right? Sometimes you may learn this standard first time, right? It should be the last time. Sometimes it may be the first time. Once you are completing the standard, it should be the last time you are learning this, right? Again and again for maybe some other exams, you don't need to learn this after finishing one standard. You have to be with the standard very practical. Right? Okay. Example that අහගෙන ඉන්නකොට මම මොකද කියලා දෙන්නේ? ආපු නැති ළමයි දැනගන්න. අහන් ඉන්නකොට අර වැදගත්ම දේ ලෙක්චර් ආපු එකවත් මේ පැත්ත බලන් ඉන්න එකවත් ඔයාට සවුන්ඩ් එක ඇහෙන එකවත් ඔයාට මාව පේන එකවත් නෙවෙයි. මොකක්ද ඉම්පෝර්ට්? අද ඉම්පෝර්ට් සවුන්ඩ් ඇහෙන එකයි පේන එකනේ මෙන්ටලි මොනවාද ඒක කියන්නේ මයින්ඩ් එකට ලින්ක් එක තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි ඉම්පෝර්ට්. That means concentration. Right? මොනවද කියන්නේ ඒකට in Buddhism? So you have to have samadhi. Right? Once you are getting in this sound and picture. So we can see a board and a digital board and me. You can see something. You are getting it as an input from your eyes. So I'm talking here. You are getting that sound as input from ears. That too should be linked with your mind. Otherwise, you can see something happening. You can hear something. So, මොනෝහරි කතා කරනවා. So, මොනෝහරි කරනවා. උත්තර වෙන්නේ. නිකම් මම ඉස්සරහ බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. වෙන දේවල් මතක් වෙනවා. වෙන දේවල් ලින්ක් වෙනවා වගේ මයින්ඩ් එක. That is not good. හැම වෙලේම try කරන්න ඕනේ. That link should be there. Otherwise, I'm not in the class. Attendance mark කරන්න බෑ මේ link එකට. Attendance mark කරන්න ඔයා මෙතන ඉන්නවා කියන එක. එක්සම් වැඩි care කරන්නේ නැහැ attendance වල. ඔයා අර link එක තියනවා නම් තමයි වැදගත්. නැත්නම් ඔයා අපරාධකාරී නේද? ඔයාට එළිය ගිහිල්ලා පොඩක් සෙල්ලම් කරලා නේද මේක එකක් බලලා. ඒ කාලේ නැස්ති කරගන්න අපරාධේ. එහෙම කරගන්න එපා. You are here. Please make sure that concentration is really important. Question from you all, whether I am having that concentration, whether I am hearing to sir. Otherwise, වාම තමයි අර අහගෙන වගේ ඉන්න හදන එක මාරාන්තිකයි. ඇයි එහෙම කියන්නේ? එතකොට වත් රැවටෙනවා. මත් රැවටෙනවා. මම රැවටෙන්නේ වාම සැරින් සැරේට රැවටෙනවා. ඒක කරන්න එපා. අහගෙන ඉන්න. That's very important. Whatever the lecture, whatever the class, concentration is a must. Then try to catch something. Maybe not 100%. If you can get it maybe 60%, that may be more than enough. Then you can start your learning. Once you are finishing maybe tangible asset, don't get 100%. So today we are learning what it is, how we can practically use it, what the content is. So we are learning maybe 60% from the standard, from the classroom. Then once you are starting, once you are going back to maybe going back, you can start your learning. You can search, you can read the standard. Then and there you can learn it, right? That's very important. Another thing is the self-learning. Very important. Lecture depend වෙන්න එපා. Tube එක depend වෙන්න එපා. Do some research. At least Google එකේ හරි search කරන්න නේද? YouTube video එකක් හොයාගෙන තව lecture කෙනකින් අහන්න. අනේ මේ SAP එකේ lectures ඒ lecture විතරයි අහන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැහැ. ඕන තරම් තියෙනව නේද? YouTube search කරොත් search will you this LKS 38 guidance lectures ඕන තරම් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒක අහනවට වඩා physically අහලා ගිහින් මාර practically මතකයි. ඒතකොට ඒ සර් කියන එක පාගොළුවට යනවා. You can compare that. Is there any contradiction? So next week එකක කියන්න පුළුවන් sir අර මම්ට content එකක් හම්බුණා. It says like this. You are telling like this. What's the difference? If you can clarify that, ඒතකොට ඔයා අහන්නේ සමහර විට very general ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා. සමහර බෝඩ් ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. But you are asking something. You are getting clarification. It's like a story. Like a story, you can remember that forever. අවුරුදු තව 10කින් මතක් වුණා. තාම සර් කියහපු content එක නෙමෙයි කියලා මතක් වෙනවා. That's why you need to engage with the lecture. So those are the basic things, right? I don't need to explain these things. I hope you can do that. So that's why I will be appointed to this financial reporting class because this is exemption batch. For exemption batch එක SAP එක ගොඩක් priority දෙනවා. මොකද you are coming from some other professional exams, right? So they assume that they have some now. You are having some knowledge about this stuff, and we need to give more priority. It means that you are not giving other priority to other students, but we know that you are having good passion than others. Then we need to facilitate that. We can discuss more advanced things than others with you all. That's why we are doing to not only to the content, they are discussing about something more than that. Okay, right. So these are the limitations. Other than that, I added what else? In common size financial statements, we can compare the base figure. If you are getting revenue as the base figure, you can't compare it. Can you understand that? Okay, there. It can unknown anything. In the මෙහෙම ඔයාට 100 compare කරාම මේ දෙක බලලා ඔයාට 2019 2018 figures නැත්තම් revenue බලලා difference එක කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? revenue එකේ difference එක කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? You can't understand difference of the base figure. Right, base figure you are converting to a same number, maybe 100 or 1000. It's a limitation. Are you getting me? That table is here, right? And then let's say these are two different industries, two different companies in same industry, right? You can't see the size. That's what I told you. This is a hotel having 100, maybe 100 rooms. This is a hotel having 1000 rooms. But still it was converted to 100. You can't see the scale of the business. Are you getting me? Both were converted to 100. 100 එකත් එක්ක තමයි බලලා තියෙනවා. ඔයාට කියන්න බෑ වැඩිම ඉන්වෙන්ටරි තියෙන මොන කම්පැනි එකද? ඔයාට ඒ ආන්සරේ උත්තරයක් නැහැ. ඔයාට කියන්න පුළුවන් with compared to total asset inventory composition is higher than S compared to Y company. That is a limitation of common size financial statement analysis, right? I hope it's clear. Then what are the advantages? Main advantage is very easily understandable. This type of a dashboard, right? This type of a dashboard. So these are the advantages of common size financial statement. So you can easily understand the trend of the numbers as a percentage, right? Financial analysts can use a common size income statement to compare the financial performance different entities at glance. At a glance, in a very short period, quickly you can understand numbers. That's the main benefit of this common size financial statement. Right, I hope it is clear. So in the exam, I'm not planning to convert this balance sheet to the common size financial statement. That won't be tested, right? Preschool task, I'm giving financial statement to convert to common size financial statement. It won't be a question in your exam. But these theoretical questions, or sometimes common size financial statement will be given and you are supposed to analyze two different companies, right? That can be possible. Okay. Moving to trend analysis. Trend analysis. What do you mean by that? Once you are having this different years, what you can do is to analyzing the trend. Okay. We are analyzing the numbers, maybe revenue, maybe cost of sales, maybe some other element for over a period of time. Maybe a different years, we are analyzing the trend, right? The benefit of trend analysis is what? Once you are having your historical numbers, you are analyzing the trend. After analyzing the trend, you can predict the future. You are having a positive trend. You are expecting same positive relationship in next 2-3 years, right? So that's the benefit of trend analysis. After analyzing the trend, you can forecast the future. That's the benefit of trend. And historically, we had this trend. Because of management decisions, we can change it. If you are declining trend, but you have to take decision, you need to take some kind of some aspect of turnaround decisions. You need to positively, you need to convert it. That's the requirement of trend analysis, right? So trend analysis can be done for numbers as well as the ratios as well. So you know that now ratio analysis. So you can calculate earning per share for last 5 years. Last 5 years earning per share trend. By seeing in this trend, you can predict this next 2-3 years. That's all about trend analysis, right? Trend analysis. What is this? So we are having 3 different numbers: revenue, electricity, and salaries. Different years, we have calculated here the trend. Okay. So once you are doing trend analysis, what is the process we need to focus? What's the process we need to understand? If we want to analyze the trend, we should have a predetermined presumption, projection, or expectation. We need to develop the expectation. Expectation. Right. What is the process we can use for the trend analysis? First, we should have a expectation, and expectation means we need to develop type of a yeah, expectation before you are doing analysis. expectation, analysis, comparison, identify the deviations. That is a normal process of trend analysis. What do you mean by expectation? So once you are doing revenue, electricity and salaries, what is your expectation? What is your expectation? To analyze the two numbers, there should be a trend. Otherwise, no need. We can't, analyze it. There should be a trend. We should have a presumption that that trend will be there. Otherwise, if you are analyzing maybe revenue versus rent expense, is there a trend? If you are analyzing revenue versus rent expense, there's no trend, right? Rent expense may be a fixed amount. Revenue may be fluctuate. Is there any relationship between trend revenue and this rent expense? No. To analyze the trend, there should be a relationship. That relationship you have to have understanding. Accordingly, you have to have a prediction, projection, or expectation. Before you are analyzing the trend, you should have an expectation. Please make sure to write it that expectation before you are analyzing. Expectation is this. You are using data, analyze it, cross-check with the expectation. If you have a deviation, there's an unusual area. Here, what's the expectation? Revenue, electricity, and salaries. According to the revenue, electricity and salaries may have positive relationship with the revenue. That is our expectation. That is our co-expectation. Accordingly, we are analyzing. So we can see that trend. We can see that trend. Sometimes there may not be that trend. You can understand that if there's a deviation. If remember that once you are doing your trend analysis, you should have predetermined expectation. And do your analysis and cross-check with your expectation, identify variation, and through the variation analysis, you have to get the exact reason for that. As a management, you need to communicate that variation to the stakeholders to take decisions. What your expectation? Electricity should go in line with revenue. If we are not getting that relationship, there may be electricity leakage. So electricity increasing maybe 30%, your revenue increasing only 15%. There's an issue, right? Then and there you can understand the concern, maybe the problem. Okay. That's what we are doing under trend analysis. Trend analysis. You can do this trend analysis by using this Excel, right? You can develop a trend line. Trend line එකක් හදින්න පුළුවන්. ඒක පුළුවන් නේ. Just can do. I hope you are comfortable with that trend line. හදින්න පුළුවන් වුණා. Do you have this team link with your team link? Good. Can we request that one person share to your group and can you share it to me? So you can get this way. Here. People who are in the meeting can even share their link. Sharing have this link. Hello, share.
They already. Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's not the
Right. You'll get that link later and I will show how to draw a trend line using Excel. I think you're familiar with that. If you're having that trend line, what you have to do is you can get that equation, right? The equation of that trend line. By using that equation, you can predict your future. That's the benefit of having trend analysis, right? As I said, as I explained, before you are doing trend analysis, you should have expectations, right? After the analysis results should be compared with your expectation. That's a basic understanding, right? And then we are moving to this analysis. What is that? Horizontal and vertical analysis. Horizontal and vertical analysis. What do you mean by that? Already we have done it, but this is type of a analysis mechanism we can use in our analysis. We need to have understanding what we are doing, whether we are analyzing horizontally or vertically. Horizontal analysis and vertical analysis. Once you are doing common size financial statement, once you are calculating common size, it is a vertical analysis. Okay. Once you are calculating a common size financial statement, it's a vertical analysis. If you are comparing common size financial statement of a company with another company or consecutive years, definitely is a horizontal analysis. What do you mean by that? Calculating current ratio is a vertical analysis, right? Calculated current ratio compare with the last year and another 10 years time, it's a horizontal analysis. You know, right? Horizontal and vertical. First, you need to understand that horizontal means this way, vertical means this way. Right? In this way, current year numbers, current year 2025 numbers in the statement, we are getting same year numbers up to down, top to bottom. So once you are calculating this current ratio, you are getting two numbers. What are they? Same financial position, statement of financial position, current asset and current liabilities. You are getting that from same statement. Current asset here, current liability here. You are going where? You are going this side. Calculating gross profit. It's a vertical analysis. You are getting revenue, income statement, revenue and gross profit. Same statement, you are going this side. You are going vertically. You are going vertically. You are analyzing net profit margin. What are the numbers you are getting? Calculate net profit margin. Now the Galle. Revenue and net profit. Where you are going? This side or this side? Same year side. Is a vertical analysis. Horizontal analysis means after getting these numbers, you are comparing with some other years. This way you are comparing. Right? That's a horizontal analysis and vertical analysis. Once you are doing common size financial statement or ratio analysis, normally you are practicing horizontal and vertical analysis. The calculation part horizontal, comparison part vertical. Okay. Once you are doing this trend analysis, basically you are doing horizontal analysis. Okay. Horizontal analysis. That's about horizontal and vertical analysis. That's it about financial statement analysis. I have given these examples. Okay. That's it about financial statement analysis. I discussed about some techniques. Not only this, don't limit to these techniques. You may have some other techniques. Through data analytics, you may have some correlationship analysis or some other type of trend analysis, other calculations, right? Once you are analyzing depreciations, you are having different depreciation calculation techniques according to standard. You can recalculate, you can compare that, right? Comparison, variance analysis. Variance analysis also different analysis you can do. Variance analysis. And then correlation analysis, variance analysis, and you can calculate standard deviation. Different techniques are there. I'm not going to discuss all these techniques. You can use tools, new technological aspects. Once you have come up with these answers, once you're analyzing these things, the next step is what? You can go to data visualization, and then you can move to communication. Data analytics, 3 steps are there. What are they? Analytics, visualization, communication. So financial statement analysis also moving from these traditional methods to systematic methods. Keep remember that, right? Also having this all data, what you can do, you can analyze all data. First, data clearing. You need to clear the data and We need to ensure the completeness of data and analyze it and visualize it, communicate it. That's the main basic process. Okay. So you need to have understanding about data analytic as well. Data analytic is a common topic for each and every field, whatever the field you are working on. If you are accountant, if you are engineer, if you are doctor, if you are salesperson, you are taking decisions through big data, metadata, right? AI. AI taking decisions through data. ඒක කොච්චරද කිව්වොත් ඒක next level එකකට turn වෙලා තියෙනවා. දෙයක් හිතුවොත් ඒ දේ ඔයාලට පෙන්වන්නව නේද මේ කොහොමද පෙන්වන්නේ? ඔයා search කරනකොට ඒකම පෙන්වනවා. කොහොමද ඒක වෙන්නේ කියලා හිතා ගන්නත් බෑනේ. කවුරු හරි මිනිස්සෙක් අද හම්බ වුණොත් දැන් ඔයාලා දැන් Facebook එකේ ඔයාලව මට මේ පෙන්වන්න. මොනවා හරි Instagram එකේ ඔයාලව මට suggest වෙනවා. ඇයි? කොහොමද suggest වෙන්නේ? ඔයාලා search කළා මම search කළා එහෙමද නැහැ. කොහොමද suggest වෙන්නේ? GPS එකේ pick කරනවා මම ඔයාලගේ closely සෑහෙන closely ගොඩක් වෙලා ඉන්නවා කියලා දැන්. Then Saturday, Sunday, at this period, they are picking me and you as two persons. We are closely having discussion. Sometimes they are picking what we are discussing, right? Then they are suggesting you as a friend in this thing. Sometimes you are having a dialogue with some friend. දැන් ඊයේ මම හරි යාළුවෙක් එක්ක කතා කරනවා ෆිසිකලි කතා කරලා එයා ගෙදර ගිහින් ගම එයාට ඒ කතා කරපු කන්ටෙන්ට් එක සජෙස් වෙනවා ෆෝන් එකේ. කොහොමද වෙන්නේ? මම මුකුත් නෙවෙයි පෙන්නන්නේ මම හොඳ ඒ කියන්නේ මාකටිං කරන sales person කෙනෙක්ගේ මෙන්න මෙහෙම marketing video එකක් තියෙනවා. මෙහෙම මානගාතේ. It's really good. The way they are marketing is very innovative කියලා කිව්වේ. Physically කතා කරා. යාළුවා ගෙදර ගිහපු ගමන් මේ page එක එයාට visualize කරනවා. කොහොමද? කොච්චර advanced GPS අපි හම්බුණා කියලා pick කරලා තියෙනවා. අපි කතා කරපු content එක pick කරලා. ඒ pick කරපු content එකේ content එකට ගැලපෙන suggestion එක give කරනවා. එළවා නිකන් ඔයාගේ action එකක් આવුත්. If you search about maybe weddings, maybe some sport or something like that, all suggestions in all the platforms suggest the same topic, right? I'm recently bought a filter එකක් බලලා හැම එකෙම මොකද filter තමයි වෙන්නේ. You can just search. If you are searching in the Google, right? You're searching the Google, all social media platforms showing suggestion for the motor filters. Yes. So then, what is that? That's all about data-driven, AI-driven suggestions, right? Those are technology. AI is a technology, right? And RPA is also technology. And then blockchain also technology. The usage may be different. AI කියන්නේ technology එක. ඒක use වෙන විදිය තැනින් තැනට වෙනස් වෙනවා. Blockchain කියන්නේ ලොකු technology එකක්. ඔයා දන්නවද සමහර වෙලට. Blockchain is a modern technique. Within another 10 years time, the world will be changed a lot because of blockchain. Most of the many job opportunities are not created. It won't create job opportunities. Many jobs may be stopped or terminated. So intermediary positions, sometimes bankers, sometimes brokers, may not be there, further there because of blockchain. Why? It is a trusted, distributed ledger. It means that blockchain. Nothing else. Unsimple there, Kataka. What is that? It is the most trusted, uneditable, distributed ledger. එච්චරයි. ඔයා හිතන්න ඔයාගේ ledger එක most trusted, uneditable, distributed ledger. You know, right? Ledger. grade 2 වල ඉගෙන ගත්ත ledger කියන්නේ. නේද? අපි මේක lesson කතා කරනකොට ledger එක ඉගෙන ගත්තා. Right? What is that? The area or document or cupboard or computer having more number of accounts, having double entry system, having maybe asset, liabilities, equity, and all these types, right? This ledger, available ledger, can be editable. Right? Can be editable by the management, by the accountant. That's why we are supposed to have auditor. In future, auditor role may not be there. Why? May not be required. Reason? It is trusted, uneditable. හැබැයි එතන වරද්දලා තිබුණා. ඒක බලන්න auditor role එක ඕන වෙයි. මට ඒක පොඩි doubt එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි it is trusted, uneditable. It is encrypted. ඒක නිසා ඒක distribute කරනවා. Distributable to others. They can see what's happening here. If it is so, we have trusted numbers. No need other support. We can do the transaction there. They can make a blockchain. The other intermediary parties, මුකුත් නැති වෙනවා. ඒකට බැංක් එකේ සර්විස් එක ඕන වෙනවද අපිට? ඒ බැංක් එක මොකද කරන්නේ? සල්ලි වැඩි කට්ටියකින් අරගෙන අඩු කට්ටියට දෙනවා. ඉතින් බැංක් එකක් ඕනේ නැහැනේ අපි කට්ටිය ගමේ කට්ටිය මීට් වෙන්නේ. ගමේ සල්ලි වැඩි පොලි මුදලාලිගෙන් අනිත් කට්ටිය ගන්නවා. ඒ මොකද්ද? ඒක ට්‍රස්ට් එක නිසා. ට්‍රස්ට් එක නිසා ගන්න බැංක් එකට යන්නේ නැසු. ඒ ට්‍රස්ට් එක uniformly to the whole world they are distributing. If it is so, intermediary parties not there. To a land transaction, how many intermediary parties we are dealing with? If you want to sell a land, other land එකක් sell කරන්න නම් what තනියෙන් sell කරන්න ඕනේ. You need to talk to your lawyer, maybe your broker, right? And land registry, and to the bank, and many parties in the cycle. Why? You don't have a trust about other person, whether he's having the clear right, right? And you don't have data about the overall world, whether they want it or not. Now what we can do? Through social media or platform, you can search the buy without any broker, no broker fees. Once you are selecting the exact buyer, what you can do? He's having the distributed ledger. I am having distributed ledger. So all the rights of lands I am having, others can see. ඒක edit කරන්න මොකද කාටවත් බෑ. මට තියෙන lands, අදට තියෙන land set එක, it's a ledger we can distribute to others. එයාට trust මේක ගැන. එයාට මාර trust මේක ගැන. It is blockchain. ඒකට ඒකේ එයා මොකද කරන්නේ? ඒකේ අඩු කරලා මෙතන transfer කරනවා cash අරගෙන. No other parties. No other parties. The example is what? Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency are there. This Bitcoin, different coin. Cryptocurrency. දුවන්නේ මොකක්ද? Cryptocurrency technique එක මොකක්ද? Blockchain. Blockchain. You are having today this much of Bitcoins. Others having what are you going to doubt there? So you are using a distributed ledger. You are transferring your asset in between without intermediaries. If it is so, all transaction will be happen within a second, right? So then going forward, maybe another 10 years, 15 years time, the world will be very different, right? So all depend on what? The data and analytics, financial statement analysis. The financial statement analysis is part of that. Keep remember that. That's about this latest technological aspects. So with this, I'm closing this chapter. I hope you are comfortable with. So we are planning to do our group assignment on this area. Right? So I think you are on the track. We had 4 areas, right? We had 4 areas. This is the fourth one. What is that? Analysis and interpretation of financial statements. We completed what? Analysis part now. Analysis part completed. The interpretation part, not the interpretation කරන්නේ අපි ගොඩක්. අපි analyze කරලා information interpret කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක අපි group assignment එකේ විතරයි. Right? But we have to practice interpretation. Interpretation is it is I can't teach you all interpretation. The technique I have already analysis technique, how you can interpret, how we can understand this, what are the best practices, all these things we discuss. Based on that, this should be performed by you, the interpretation. Right? Interpretation part take up from the chart. Take a test guarantee, group assignment again. We are getting data, analyze it, interpret it. Interpretation means giving a clear story about the financial statement, about the company, about this year versus last 5 years. Okay. After having this overall understanding, this can be capitalized to your earnings. Exam එකනේ focus කරන්නේ future earnings. What is stock market invest කරන්න ඕන. Stock market එකේ maybe what 10-year summary analyze කරන්න ඕන. So you have this knowledge now. If you have further private investment, how you are going to calculate it? What are the ratios you need to focus? Now you have that knowledge. Use it, not the sake of having knowledge for the exam, right? But for your future earnings knowledge. Please use it and focus on this topic as a very important topic. Financial statement analysis and interpretation. මේක තමයි ආගේ future එක. මේකට තමයි ඔයාලා accounting degree එකක් කරන්නේ. All the standards, consolidation, everything. After finalizing all these financial statement, next step is what? Analysis and interpretation. Without that, you can't take decision. Now we know that before we are going to standard consolidation and these adjustments, now we know the expectation, right? So we can easily do the standards. That's the overall expectation. This part, area 4, fully completed now. Right. Any questions, any doubts you can ask. What are the doubts there? People who are joining virtually, if you have doubts, questions, can ask me. So these things we discussed, right? Limitation of financial statement analysis techniques. Limitation, ratio analysis limitations, common size financial statement analysis limitations. We have already discussed. Relevant financial ratios, including profitability, liquidity, solvency, year-end solvency ratios. We have already done it, right? All the things covered. I think now you can start your learnings, right? The content finished. Content is already covered. Now we can move to case 38. Right. Case 38, intangible asset. Right. Now where we are now here, we are having 4 areas, right? The syllabus, we are comfortable. Area 4 completed 20%. Right? How much we have given for this one? Right. 40%, right? Standards. මතකද මේක අපි කතා කරා? ඒක මතක තියාගන්න. දැන් අද අලුතෙන්ම ආපු ළමයි අපි මේක තමයි plan එක. Right? So fourth one, analysis and interpretation of financial statement, 20% fully done now. Right? We have done a group individual assignment, the classroom, ratio analysis, calculation, analysis types done. Remaining is the group assignment related to this 20%. I think you are, after doing these steps, you are comfortable with that. Right. First one, regulatory framework, governance, ethics, financial reporting. This will be given separate tune, separate slide deck. We finish though, maybe next week or week after that. So we are, what's the most focused area? This 40 and 30. Right? That's about preparation financial statements. Preparation financial statement including consolidation. 30%. Accounting standards, 40%. Today we are starting this second part with this standard. Right? If you remember that we are in the second part, we are completing this 40% day by day. So understand කරගන්න. නිකන් step by step ඔළුවට දාගන්න එපා. දැන් clear කරගන්න මේ area එක ඉවරයි ඉස්සර කරලා. දැන් එක area එක කරලා practice කරලා stand ratios ටික මතක තියාගෙන techniques ටික ඔළුවට දාගෙන fully complete කරගන්න. Right? Case 38, intangible asset. This asset, right? This asset, intangible asset. You know this part, I guess. Assets. It's about LKS one. Asset. What it means to you? As a result of past event, past event, as a result of past event, today we are controlling an asset. Controlling, not asset. We are discussing about asset. Controlling a resource. Resource with having future economic benefit. Having future economic benefit can be measured reliably. Making it the unknown and asset definition. Making it the great one asset definition. As a result of past event, today we are controlling a resource with having future economic benefit. That future economic benefit can be measured reliably. Right? This is the asset definition. We hammer the one detail so that they know. As a result of past event, what do you mean by that? We had a transaction, we purchased it, we obtained it, the owner put money to the organization. As a result of past event. As a result of past event, we do have this share here. What's a past event? We purchase it. Right? And controlling the resource. It's a resource controlling. මේ content එකේ වැදගත් වචනේ මොකක්ද? වැදගත් වචනේ මොකක්ද? මෙන්න මේක තමයි වැදගත් වචන. මාල් දාලා තරු දාලා නේද? එහෙම එල්ලලා තියන්න ඕන වචනයක්. ඒක controlling. Controlling. To recognize asset, we should have a controlling power. Not the ownership. Not the ownership. Ownership is a support to this controlling power. It is a one option, one way we can get the controlling power. The ownership. Wow, ownership එක නැති asset control කරනවද? Control කරනවා. වාට අනුන්ගේ asset තමන්ගේ වගේ books වල දාගන්න පුළුවන්ද? පුළුවන්. වාට අනුන්ගේ asset තමන්ගේ වගේ පොත්වල ලියාගන්න පුළුවන්. කොහොමද? වා control කරනවා. Keep remember that. If you can recognize asset, the ownership with not you. It is with some other party, but you are controlling it. It is so you can recognize that as asset. As an example, right of use asset. You are getting maybe lease for 5 years. 5-year lease agreement that premises the ownership with the landlord. But for the 5 year, you are controlling, you are recognizing asset. For lease, maybe finance lease. Vehicle finance lease second. Lease ownership right? You are paying the lease installment. You are controlling today. You are recognizing that as asset, lease asset. Right? That's the way you are identifying assets. Future economic benefit. Now, asset definition done. Through this definition, we are having many assets. PPE, biological asset, financial instrument, financial asset, financial asset, investment property, different assets all are under this category. So then here we have another asset called what? Intangible asset. Today we are learning, we are expert on this. Today we are learning what is all about this intangible part. Intangible part. What is that? What is this intangible part? Today we are learning about this. Right? I hope that asset definition very comfortable with you all. They can have motivated part. So this future economic benefit, yes, without having future economic benefit, we can't recognize asset. Definitely, we should have future economic benefit that should be controllable. We control can mukadda. The control can mukadda. Control over this. You should have an ability to control the future economic benefit. Keep remember that. For resource control කරන්න මොකටද? Future economic benefit අඩු වැඩි කරගන්නවට පුළුවන්. කියන එක තමයි control කියලා කියන්නේ. Right? Controlling the asset, controlling the future economic benefit. If it is so, you are having the asset right. Recognize the asset. Okay. That future economic benefit can be measured reliably. A measure කරන්න පුළුවන් නේද? Economic benefit ක්‍රම දෙකකින් එනවා asset එකේ. What are they? Economic benefit ඔබට action දෙකකින් එනවා. Option දෙකකින් එන්න පුළුවන්. What are they? ඕනම asset දෙකකින්. Whatever the asset you are having, you are expecting future economic benefit, right? That future economic benefit can be received to your organization by using two different methods. You can't get that from two different methods. You have to have one selection. What is that? Another. Water. They can use කරලා එන්න පුළුවන්. Water maker sell කරලා එන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ asset එක වාට sell කරලා economic benefit එන්න පුළුවන්. Use කරලා economic benefit එන්න. Are you agree with me? අද මේ chair එක තියෙනවා. මේ chair එක SAP එකට benefit ගන්න පුළුවන් ක්‍රම දෙකක් තියෙනවා. අද ක්‍රම දෙක. අද විකුණලා සල්ලි ගන්න පුළුවන්. නැත්නම් මොකක්ද? පාවිච්චි කරලා ළමයින්ට පාවිච්චි කරන්න දීලා ළමයින්ගේ fees ගන්න. Are you agree with me? Whatever the other asset, also say two different methods. හැබැයි දෙකම අපිට කරන්න බෑ. එකක් කරොත් එකක් නැති වෙනවා. So that is about economic benefit. That will be controlled by the SAP. That will be decided by the SAP. Right? So this is called what? In other words, value in use. Value in use. Value in use. Fair valueless. Fair valueless. Cost to sell. මේකද කියන අපි වෙන වචනයක් මොකද්ද? මේක දෙකට කියන මොන වචනයක් කියලාද? Recoverable value කියලා. Recoverable value. Recoverable value. Economic benefit කියන්නේ මොනවද? Recoverable value. Right? Value in use or fair valueless cost to sell, whichever is higher. Whichever is higher, we call as recoverable value. That recoverable value should be reflected in the books. Otherwise, it is overstated. If it is overstated in the books, what we have to do? We have to make a what? Impairment. That is called impairment. That is called impairment. වාගේ books වල value එකක් තියෙනවා 10,000. ඔයා හිතන් ඉන්නවා ඔයා වටින්නේ 10,000 කියලා. හැබැයි ඔයාට ෆැමිලි එකට වාගෙන් ගන්න පුළුවන්. වාගෙන් පාවිච්චි කළා ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ 9,000. ඔයා අද විකුණලා ඔයා ගන්න පුළුවන් 8,000. Maximum what you can get only 9,000. But you have disclosed in 10,000. It is overstated. If you have overstated in your books, what you have to do? You need to make a payment. Link all these things, right? Link all this standard. Right? That's all about impairment. It is 36. Okay. Now we are here where? We are here to discuss intangible asset. Don't forget that. Intangible asset. Now we know asset definition. You have to master of this asset definition. It is a 100 make study around. It should be the bread and butter, right? Then and there you can learn about these things. Biological asset method. Biological asset you know. Living animal or plant. Living animal or plant. Living animal or plant. Each and every living animal can be considered as a biological asset. Can't. Why? There should be a biological transformation. That biological transformation, the outcome should be controlled by the entity and through agricultural activity. If it is a biological asset, right? Biological asset. That biological asset, the outcome should be sellable. That should be sell and get new economic benefit. If it is also a biological asset, otherwise it is not. Right? That's why the animals in a zoo is not a biological asset. Why? Why? What's the reason? We are not expecting, we are not selling a biological transformation. We are selling what? Entertainment. But there we can say accounting is a different language. You have to be very sharp on it. To focus is what they are selling. Are they selling meat? Are they selling milk? Are they selling eggs? No. But they are selling entertainment, right? Entertainment they are selling. Are they selling that entertainment coming through biological transformation? No. They just show that. Are they showing a type of a regeneration of procreation process? Are they selling it? No. They are not selling it. They are not planned to sell it. If it is so, they are selling entertainment. That activity not depend on the biological transformation. If it is so, it is not a biological asset. Right? Security dogs. අපි පොලිසියේ ඉන්න dogs ලා. ඒතකොට පොලිසියේ dogs ලා රෙකෝඩ් කරලා දෙන biological asset විදියටද? මොකද හිතන්නේ? Security policy account balance sheet එකේ dogs ලා මොනවද ඇත්තේ? It is not a biological asset. Why? They are selling security, not a biological transformation. Right? They are selling security. It's not a biological asset. To identify as a biological asset, we need to earn money because of biological transformation. We are recognizing this cow process giving milk as a biological asset. Why? Milk is a biological transformation. We are recognizing tea plant or coconut plant. We are getting tea leaves, coconut. Once you are getting coconut, it's a result of biological transformation. We are expecting biological transformation and controlling the biological transformation through a agricultural activity. Because of that, we recognize that as a biological asset. Right? So once you are coming to biological asset, the difference between mango tree and the banana tree. What are the වෙනස? මේකේ mango හැදෙන්නේ මේකෙන් banana හැදෙන්නේ. එහෙමද? Then mango tree is a biological asset, where a plant. Banana tree is a consumable biological asset, consumable plant. two different standard, LKS 16 and LKS 41. Where a plant be exempt from 41. Where a plant be, that plant we are keeping for more than 1 year period. The mango tree ගත්ත ගමන් ගහ කපලා අයින් කරනවද? Have a banana tree, pineapple tree, what happening? Once you are getting fruits, after harvesting, that tree may be not there. Right? That's a consumable biological asset. Right? So consumer biological it is 41. The bare biological asset, okay, 16. Likewise, it is very sharp. You should understand meaning and reasons. We should have proper thought process behind that. There's a proper thought process, you should understand it. If you remember that. So having said these complexities, we are moving to intangible asset. Now we are planning to learn this word intangible. What it means to you? Intangible asset is an asset, separable asset without having physical substance. Identical asset without having physical substance. That is called a intangible asset. What do you mean by identical asset without having physical substance? Identical asset. Under intangible assets, always we are discussing this word. What is that? It should be identical. That's very important. A word is more important. Once you are discussing about asset, controlling word is so important. Once you are discussing intangible asset, identical word is very important. Identical. What do you mean by identical? In other assets, once we are discussing other assets, maybe biological asset, investment property, PP&D, we are not caring about identical. But here, intangible asset, we mainly focus about identical. Identical asset without having physical substance. If you are having the physical substance, do we need to worry about this identical aspect? Here we have a chair. Is that difficult to identify this among other chairs? Very easy to identify. If we can't see this asset, without physical substance is a content. If it is so, it's difficult to identify that asset. Right? Within this environment, we have an asset. It is creating these things. As a result of past event, we are controlling it. Because of that, we are generating future economic benefit, and that can be measured reliably. But there's no physical substance. Here we have a question. I ask a question. Do we need to have ownership? No need. Do we need to have physicality? Physically, do we need to have that physical substance? No need. To asset, do we require to have physical substance? No need. Is it touchable? It is physically available? No, physically not available. Can we touch it? Can't. There's no physical substance. If it is so, it is not a requirement. That type of asset, if you are focusing about without physical substance, it is really difficult to identify. Where is it? What is that? As a accountant, how you need to ensure that? As an auditor, how you are going to verify it? If it is inventory, if it is physical, this PP&E, they can do physical verification. For the intangible asset, can they do physical verification of intangible asset? It's utter failure, right? They can't identify it. They can't touch it. They can't count it. If it is so, they are facing higher difficulty. Why? How they can identify it? People are telling that there's something like this, but we can't visualize it. Physically, we can't count it. Then we have a challenge. That's why we are having this word. It should be identical. Identical asset without having physical substance. We call as intangible asset. Intangible asset. So identical, how we can understand it? Identical. We are having asset. We may have asset, but we can't identify. If it is so, as accountant, we can't recognize it as intangible asset. Right? We should have capability to identify it. Identify means it should be separable. Separable from other asset. It can be sellable. We can separate it from other asset. We can recognize that as a separate item. Question from it, can we sell it out separately? Can we sell it out separately? Can you identify separately? If it is so, it is a intangible asset. Right? It is intangible asset. Keep remember that. But we can. But environment asset ගොඩක් තියෙන පුළුවන් intangible asset. But අපි accountant with the recognized කරන්නේ. If we are having only the identifiable means we should be able to separate it from other asset, separate it from other intangible asset. Can we set it out? Can we identify as a separate asset, and do we have kind of a sellable value? If it is so, separately we can identify that as an intangible asset. If it is not, don't identify it. Why? Because of that, standard is very clearly saying that internally generated goodwill, don't identify that as an intangible asset. Why? It can't be identifiable separately now. If we are recognizing it, it will create many complexities. Because of that, that's the reason we are not motivating to not pressure to identify it. Right? Internally generated goodwill can't be identified. Right? Internally generated goodwill, it is prohibited to identify. The internally generated goodwill can What do you mean by goodwill? Goodwill can goodwill එකක් තියෙනවා. Goodwill කියන්නේ it is also intangible asset. Intangible asset. That's a power of getting customer attraction. That's a power of getting revenue. It is a power. It will generate revenue, right? Because of many reasons. Because of the quality, because of your customer, service, and maybe brand image. Behind that brand image, the society has created some type of, very prestige type of thing. If you are using maybe Audi or Mercedes-Benz or something like, Montero or some other brands or Apple, if you are having that brand, the society giving some more value. Right? It is created. Because of that, company getting what? Demand the revenue. That is an intangible asset. But can we consider the Apple company? Do you think that they have identified that Apple brand as an intangible asset in their books? Do you think that? No, they haven't. Sampath Bank එක Sampath Bank කියන නම balance sheet එකේ intangible asset එකක් විදිහට identify කරලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි ඒකට power එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට power එකක් තියෙනවා. හැබැයි power එක අද මේකයි කියලා identify කරන්න පුළුවන්. It can't be identical now. Can we get that brand and sell it out now without, can it separable from other asset? Can't. If we are separating from that buildings, that staff, that technology, if you are separating from others, that brand not be there. It is attached to some other assets. Maybe staff, maybe that history, maybe some company processes, procedures. Because of that, that is inbuilt in different aspects. Because of that, it is inseparable. Inseparable, right? Inseparable. That is type of a asset. We can't recognize that as an intangible asset. Internally generated goodwill can't be recognized as asset. But internally generated intangible asset, some other asset we can recognize. The question is, can we identify it? Is that identifiable? That's a question. Right? Can it be identified? That's a question. Okay. Right. I think that's the basic understanding you should have. Let's say we should understand what are things here under tangible asset. These are the intangible asset definition, right? Examples with sources. How we are generating intangible asset. And then after identifying it, recognition, measurement. Recognition, measurement. Right. Fourth one. Research and development cost. Right. Fifth one. Website development. Right. This is 632. 6. Clauses. This is a content I'm planning to discuss with you all. What is that? Definition, examples with resources, sources, recognition and measurement, how we are going to recognize one, right? And research and development, website development, related disclosures. Right. And in case 38, 632 Kerala. I have discussed this. Have we discussed this? 6, 6, and IFRIC. Sick and IFRIC. Sick. Going forward, we don't have any sick. Going forward, we are having IFRIC. Why? Sick related to IAS, LKS, right? IFRIC related to IFRS and SLFRS, right? SIC means Standard Interpretation Committee, right? 632. 632 relates to website development costs. It is related to intangible asset. Why? LKS 38 released, but it is silent about website development related things. The question, outside world question, ask interpretation. This standard interpretation committee issue a guideline. So we can discuss that in this, right? But in the syllabus, it is not included, but I'm discussing here. So then overall, once you are having this content, you are comfortable with LKS 38. Right? So definition done now. This asset having this identifiable asset having without having physical substance. It's called as an intangible asset. Right? Examples. What are they? Some internally generated intangible assets, some goodwill, patent, purchased customer list, internally generated softwares. All are examples. Right? At the business combination, if you are getting a goodwill is example. Goodwill, patent, or purchase customer list or the software. Software is an intangible asset. But hardware is a hardware is PPI. There's no doubt. But here we have some other thing. What is that? Operating system. Softwares, you are having software. Software you can classify into two. IT lesson. What is that? Operating software and application software. So right. Operating software and application software. Example for operating software. iOS, exactly. iOS, Windows, Linux, right? Operating software. Application software. Do you know that any application software? You may have millions of application software, no? In App Store or any other store. You are having different applications. application software, including Word to Excel to any other thing, right? Application software. So this application software is a intangible asset, but operating system is not an intangible asset. If you remember that. Why is that? Why is that? What's the reason for that? Post software is what? What's the definition of software? It's a given instructions, given instruction, predetermined, given instruction to maybe do a task or series of tasks, right? It's called a software. Set of instructions, coded by using a language that can be identified by a computer. Computer එක තේරෙන්නේ මොන භාෂාවෙන්ද? අපි කතා කරන භාෂාවෙන්ද නෑ. එයාට තේරෙන්නේ මොනවද? Binaries වලින්. 1 and 0, sorry. 1 and 0s mean what? 1 and 0s mean what? On and off. එක පරිපථයකින් විදුලිය යනවා අනිත් පරිපථයේ විදුලිය යන්නේ නැහැ. 1 and 0s වලින් තමයි යට තේරෙන්නේ. ඒතකොට මේ මොනවද මේ? මේ IT පාඩම. එතකොට ඔයාගේ හැම සිග්නල් එකක්ම මොකක්ද කරන්න ඕන? ඩිජිටල් කරන්න ඕන. ඇනලොග් වලින් ආවා ඩිජිටල් කරන්න. Digital mean what? We need to digitize these signals. What do you mean by that? Converting these to 1 and 0s. Right. To do that instruction, how it created. So we have set of instructions within the computers, right? Within the phones. These are applications. But here, operating system is also application. It's also a set of instruction. It is done by a programmer. And it is written by using a language. Operating system is also software, but it is under different standard. What is that? LK 16, but this is 41. What's the difference? Why? But එහෙම හිතලා තියෙනවා. Computer එකක් තියෙනවා මෙතන දාලා. ඒකේ OS එකයි computer එකයි PP. Aren't the application serum and guess what? Right. What's the reason for that? What's the reason for that? The reason. That the reason is, question is identifiable. That's a word. I repeatedly say, if it is intangible asset, it should be identifiable. Once you're going further, it should be separable. Separately, can we sell it out? Can we sell it out? Then once you are getting separately, the question is, you can ask, we are having a computer here. We are separately getting out this operating system from the computer. Computer perspective, can it be workable? Without having operating system, under PP&E, computer is that available for use? No. To complete a computer, definitely operating system is part of that. It is not part of intangible asset. It is part of the PP&E. Without that operating system, this computer can't be workable. It can't be used. It is not available for use. If it is so, it is part of that. It is part of the PP&E. After fixing that, if you are getting out this operating system, it is not workable. If it is so, we can't identify that separately. This operating system can't be identical from the hardware. It is part of that. Operating system means the instruction given to boot the hardware. Boot the hardware means operate the hardware. Right? That's the instruction. If it is so, operating system is part of PP&E. But after having that, whatever the other softwares you are putting in, those are intangible assets. Right? I think you are getting what I'm telling, right? So those are the examples. We'll go through the slide deck. We'll go through the slide deck and go through in detail, right? Without going to the slide, I'm telling here, and then we can easily go through the slide. Slide එක බලනකොට තව කියවිච්ච නැති ඒවා ගොඩක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට දැන් මම කොහොමද ඔයාලට ක්වෙස්චන් එකක් වෙන්න ඕන? සර් කොහොමද අනේ මේවා මේ මතක තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ? මේ කන්ටෙන්ට් එක තමයි ඔයාගේ ඔළුවේ තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මට මිස් වෙනවා කියන්න පුළුවන්ද ස්ලයිඩ් එකේ? ඔව්. මම බලලා තියෙන්නේ ලාස්ට් ලෙක්චර් කරාට පස්සේ තාම බලලා නැහැ. ඊයේ බලන්නත් බැරි වුණා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලට ප්‍රිපෙයාර් වෙලා ඉන්න නැහැ කියලා. මම එනකොට කල්පනා කරගෙන ඉන්නේ ඔයාලට කියන එක්සැම්පල් මොනවද? එහෙම හිතාගෙන ඉන්නේ. මේ ෆස්ට් ටයිම් නම් කරන්නේ ලෙක්චර් එක. රිසර්ච් කරලා බලලා රෙඩි වෙලා තමයි. ඒකට මේ කන්ටෙන්ට් එක දැන් මේම ලියනවා කියලා හිතලත් නැහැ. මේ කන්ටෙන්ට් එක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. දැන් ඔයාලට මේ කන්ටෙන්ට් එක සර් කරන විදිහට මේ ලෙක්චර් එක ඉවරුනාම ඔයාගේ මෙමරි එකේ මයින්ඩ් මැප් එකක් තියෙනවා ස්ටෑන්ඩඩ් එකේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් වැඩක් නැහැ. ඒක තමයි ටාගට් එක. intangible asset ඉවරුනාම what's the intangible asset? Example. Right? Case studies. And then research and development was how we are managing it. Website development, how we are managing it. What are the disclosures? So රොයි ටික මතක නැහැ. ඔයාට යාළුවෙක් අල්ලගෙන රොයි ටික කියන්න ඕනේ. මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? යාළුවට උගන්වන්න පුළුවන් intangible asset can do. Parents වලට උගන්වන්න යන්න එපා. යාළුවා දන්නේ නැහැ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් කියන්නේ. ඒකට ඔයාට මේකට රිලේට් වෙන යාළුවෙක් උඩට කියලා දෙන්න පුළුවන්. Intangible asset like this. These are the examples. But internally generated goodwill can't be recognized. But internally generated maybe development cost type of things can be recognized. Right? The logic, the reason, you have to have answers. That's the expectation, right? Forever you are learning this. Not only for this exam. එහෙම නම් lecture නොවනත් නෑ. ඔයාලට YouTube එකේ videos ටිකක් බලලා නේද? exam කරන්න පුළුවන්. You are learning this as a language, right? As a accountant, how we are going to practice it, how we are going to explain these things to the audit committee. That's the focus area, right? Then interval owners. Interval loan. That being clear, then internal සහනම් කරලා තියෙන financial reporting. මොකද නෑ. It's a human right. Have a small break and come quickly. ඕන නැත්නම් අපි දිගටම කරමු. ඕනද? lunch break එක. lunch break එක 11 වලද? හරි. 11 ඉඳන් එහෙම කරමු. That's good. That's very good. Okay. They're getting a lunch break directly at 11, right? So that's our target, right? We are going through this. Recognition and measurement. Recognition, asset recognition criteria. We can add identifiable criteria. So asset definition, recognition criteria. So asset recognition criteria. So at the point of acquisition, are we controlling it? And are we generating future benefit? Can we measure reliability? This so we can recognize that as asset. Measurement, intangible asset, cost or evaluation model. Cost or evaluation model. You can recognize that as a cost or evaluation model. If you are recognizing cost, you can amortize. Intangible asset, not depreciating. They are amortizing, right? They are amortizing. Revaluation, you need to recognize revaluation gain or loss from to the OCI, right? OCI not reclassified to, not recycling to P&L, right? And once you are having this cost method, once you are doing your amortization, sometimes you are having finite and indefinite useful lifetime. Some intangible asset, finite. Finite means you can calculate your useful lifetime, right? Some intangible asset, we can't identify the intangible asset useful lifetime. If it is so, annually you need to have a impairment test. Annually you need to have impairment test. Indefined means not infinite. Indefined useful lifetime. The intangible asset having indefined useful lifetime should be evaluated for annual impairment. Those are the technical words, right? Intangible asset having indefined useful lifetime. Indefined means not infinite. Make a equal. Infinite can infinite can forever we can use it. Okay. If it is can be used forever till the when ලෝක විනාශ වෙනකම් use කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන infinite. It is not infinite. All asset we can't say that it is infinite, right? All asset can be destroyed. In religion, it says, right? All the things are temporary. That it will create a sadness if you attach it. That's all about what? This doctrine, the religious aspect. It is temporary. Okay? It's temporary. Temporary, but indefined. Really difficult to define it. මොකද්ද? Temporary කියලා දන්නෝ. කවදද කියලා දන්න. Because of that, we are not going to define it. It means intangible asset having the indefined useful life. Right? Are you getting it? Right. If it is so, you need to do annual impairment. Right? And moving out, research and development. So research and development is a type of, is an example of intangible asset. Internally generated intangible asset. Internally generated goodwill prohibited to recognize to individual entity, right? But internally generated goodwill, internally generated intangible asset can be recognized. The development cost is a type of intangible asset generated internally, right? But development can be recognized as a intangible asset, but research cost can't be recognized as an intangible asset. Please remember that research cost is a part of P&L. Expense. What's the double entry? Cash credit debit to P&L research cost. But development, cash credit, debit to an asset. So which point you can recognize from the research to development? Is there a link? Is there a link? Is there a separate department? Yes. Department itself, what is that? Department of R&D. But that research and development. The cost is with them. So it's creating a difficulty now. It's creating complexity. What's the research cost is? What's the development cost is? Very difficult to identify. Now we have a guidance from the standard. Right. Why we are having a standard for intangible assets? It is complex. Because of this complexity, the accountants, CFOs can play around this. They can use different techniques. They can mix this research and development cost. Because of that, it has given clear guidance. To that, we have a standard. Right? See this research and development cost, it as an exam, the reason for having this standard. As accountant, those costs generated from this particular department as a one unit, how you can identify research and development? First, we need to understand what's a research and what's a development is. What's a research is? Research. What is research? Degree research. 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 Search කරලා තියෙන දෙයක්. ආයෙත් මම search කරනවා further. නැත්නම් අලුත්ම දෙයක් research කරන්න පුළුවන්. Once you are doing that research, you have a doubt. What is that doubt? Whether it's getting success or not. That is a doubt. Whether it's getting success or not. If it is with that doubt, if it is getting fail, you are ending with a loss. Right? If it is success, that will create a benefit. But here we have a doubt. With that doubt, you don't have confidence to recognize that as an asset. Let's say you are doing research. Do you know the successful rate? Sometimes you are doing 100 research, you are unsuccessful. Wow, try කරන product එකක් හදන්න. Or fail වෙනවා හැමදේම. Or හැම cost එකම last 10 years, if you are recognizing that as asset, if you are not getting successful, it is maybe a kind of impairment of that asset. Why? There's no future economic benefits. Right. Then research cost always you are transferred into P&L. Keep remember that. But once you are moving to development, research next step is what? Research, if that research result getting positive, then and there we are starting our what? Development. Right? All the developments, all the new products, new things we are selling in the market, coming through what? The research. Right? After finishing the research, you are getting the results. From that onwards, you are going to develop it. Right? Develop it. At that point onwards, you can capitalize that as asset. You need to identify the point you are going to stop research and the development. That is the point you need to, as accountant, you need to justify and identify. That is your requirement. That is your role you are going to play in future. Keep remember that. Why in the research and development separately identify කරගන්න point එක ගන්න. අග role එක justify කරන්න පුළුවන්. Right? In the standard, it is very clear we have 6 criteria. 6 or 8, 6. Right? We need to have technical feasibility. Right? Technical approval should be given. right? Technical approval should be available, whether it's success or not, right? We should have a proper plan for that. To that plan, management should have a proper intention. To that, we should have a proper financing plan, right? Likewise, we are having criteria to satisfy. That's it. After satisfying this criteria, you can recognize that as a development. Each and every criteria should be satisfied, not only one. Remember that. Then development identification criteria should be with you, right? Research and development. Which point you are going to recognize. අවුරුද්දේ මාස 6ක් රිසර්ච් එක ගියා. ඒ ටික පේන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ කාලේ ඔයා රිසර්ච් එක කරන කාලේ කාපු බත් පැකට් එකයි නේද මාළු farm business biscuit සේරම කොට දැම්මේ. cash credit debit to PA. Development වෙච්ච දවස් ඉඳලා කාණ ඒවා කොහෙද දාන්නේ? assets එක. Why? It will create future economic benefit. Are you getting it? To that extent, you need to be very sharp, right? Okay. Research and development. Research and development. And then website development. Once you are developing a website, what is that? Website? To develop a website? Wow, website එක මොකද කරන්න පුළුවන්? Website එක ලියන්න නේ. Website එකක් ලියන්න දැන් easily පුළුවන්. We have tools, systems, software. You can write a website. I write a website. I wrote a website. You read a website එකක් ලියුවා. එහෙම නිකන් ලියලා බලන්න හම්බුනේ නැහැ. ඒක program එකක් නැහැ. HTML use කරලා දැන් ලියලා පෙන්නන්න පුළුවන් website එක. magic එකක් මේ එච්චර ලොකු එකක් නෙවෙයි. පොඩි නිකන් මාක් එකක් යන නමක් මෙහෙම යන්න දාන්න පුළුවන් නේද? ඒක ඔයාලට වෙබ්සයිට් එක ලියලා ඉගෙන ගත්තට පස්සේ ඔයා වෙබ්සයිට් එකට ගියාට පස්සේ ඔයා දින ෆීචර්ස් දැක්කම මේ ටෙක්නික් එක මේ ටෙක්නික් chatbot කෙනෙකුත් තියෙනවා දාන්න පිච් එක යනවා බ්ලින්ක් වෙනවා ක්‍රිස්මස් කාලෙට හිම වැටෙනවා නේද? වෙබ්සයිට් වල හිම වැටෙනවනේ ඇප් එක ඕපන් කරුවා හිම වැටෙනවා ඔයා හිම බලලා සතුටු වෙන්න එපා නේද? ඇඩ්වාන්ස් මිනිස්සෙක් විදිහට හිම එන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා බලන්න ඕන නේද? නේද? ඇප් එක ඕපන් කරා මේබි නියෝස් ඇප් එක හරි බැංක් එක ඇප් එක හරි ඕපන් කරා ක්‍රිස්මස් කාලේට හිම වැටෙනවා ඇප් එක ඇතුලේ. ෆෝන් එක ඇතුලේ නෙමෙයි වැටෙනවා හිම නෑ. ඉන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා හිතන්න. ඒක ලියලා තියෙන්නේ. නේද? එක්ස්පෝර්ට් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කෝඩ් කරලා තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද? ඒක නම් දැන් ඒක ක්‍රම දෙකකට කෝඩ් කරනවා. නේද? ඇප් එක ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරපු ඇප් එකෙන් හිම වැටෙන්න නම් වෙබ්සයිට් ඩෙවලොප්මන්ට් කරලා වැඩක් නැහැ. මොකද කරන්න ඕන? ඇප් එකට version එකක් දීලා ඒක App Store එකකට අප්ඩේට් එක දීලා තියෙන්න ඕන ඔයාට හිම ෆෝන් එකට ඉන්ස්ටෝල් කරපු එකට වැටෙන්න. හැබැයි වෙබ් version එකක් නෑ යූස් කරා. ඒක easy. ඔයා දැන් අලුතෙන් ආයි වෙබ්සයිට් එකට එනකොට හරියට අප්ඩේට් එක දීලා තිබුණාට පස්සේ හිම වැටෙනවා. easy. right? එතකොට you have to write it. HTML language එකකින් ඔයාට email ලියන්න පුළුවන් වෙබ්සයිට්. ඉතින් publish කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙබ්සයිට්. post කරන්න පුළුවන් ඊට පස්සේ right? Can do this process. As accountant, we need to account it. We need to account it. How we are going to account? You are having different websites in different companies. Well, website එක සමහරව marketing වල තියයි. Marketing වල තියයි. සමහරව තියයි යනවා process එක වෙන්නේ website එකේ. Earnings generate වෙන්නේ website එකේ directly. Right? සමහර නිකන් website එක නිකන් awareness විතරයි. Marketing කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. මොනවාද products sell කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. If they want to get some information, they can come and see the contact details and some procedures and all. You can have just a website. Different perspective they are using websites, right? So if you are using for the production, directly you are generating income. That instance only you can capitalize that as a what? intangible asset. Otherwise, it's a cost to the organization, right? The future, the economic generation, economic creation process can't be measured reliably. Otherwise, website එක දිනනවා, marketing campaign එකක් කරලා තියෙනවා. අපිට කියන්න බෑ මේ website එකේ මෙන්න මේක ආවා කියලා. If it is so, it's a marketing cost. එහෙනම් marketing cost එක capitalize කරනවද? අද marketing campaign එකක් කරා කියලා. marketing cost එක asset එකක් විදිහට capitalize කරලා මුල්වල දෙනවද? එහෙම capitalize කරන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒකේ future economic benefit එනවා. intangible asset එක capitalize කරන්න ඕනද නැද්ද? කියන question එක අහනවා. එනවා. economic benefit එනවද? yes එනවා. වා intangible asset එකක් දැම්මම intangible asset එකක් recognize කරාම sorry, marketing expense එකක් incur කරාම what future economic benefit එනවා. ඒක නෑ කියන්න බෑ. දැන් T20 World Cup එක යනවා. advertisement එකක් දානවා සැබ්බේ. the degree program එකක් මෙහෙමයි මේ ළඟයි පාරයි නේද? එලා දාන්න. එතකොට ඒක reach වෙනවා කට්ටියට. That will impact to next year and another 2 years time. The future economic benefit there. Question is what? Can be identifiable. Can be identifiable. ඒක recognize කරලා separate අපිට marketing expense මෙහෙමයි කියලා ගලවලා විකුණන්න පුළුවන්ද මේ marketing expense? Can't. If it is so, we can't recognize that as intangible asset. It is a P&L expense. Right? With that logic, we can use for the website development cost. Only the marketing related website, all these things, P&L, production related website. If you are generating through the website income, invoices, everything happened in the website, that can be recognized that as development, right? And then disclosures like PP&E, cost, amortization, evaluation, impairment, the research and development criteria, valuer's name and useful lifetime, indefined period, impairment, everything should be disclosed properly in the financial statement. Right? That's the understanding you should have about the standard. That's the background of this standard, right? That's the background of this standard. Now, after the break, we are going to the slide deck. Right? So, make on that understanding is here. Then we'll go through the slide deck one by one. Then and there, you are very comfortable with the standard. Then you can read the standard. So, the standard is meet what are they will definitely yes. Good they will have a make criteria with commenting. They want to give him the rate for standard. Right? That's the we are getting from the lecture like a starter to read the standard. Otherwise, like a part intangible asset balance what a part.